Welcome and good morning to our roundtable discussion on Our Lady and immigration. Today we have an excellent panel of guests with us, and we are going to introduce ourselves. I am Sister Graciela Colon, and I am a member of the Sisters of Christian Charity. I am the supervisor of the Immigration Services Program at Catholic Charities for the Diocese. And I have been doing this work for over 10 years, but I've been for a short time here at Catholic Charities. And I would like to, perhaps Monsignor Gordon, if you could please go next.
Certainly. Monsignor John Gordon, I'm presently the pastor of St. Joseph's in Carteret, and I've been involved with multicultural ministry, specifically Hispanic outreach, for over 25 years in the diocese, and I'm very happy to be with you this morning.
Allan?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Allan Caballero, and I'm the director for the Office of Evangelization and Hispanic Ministry in the Diocese of Metuchen. I have been a Catholic missionary serving multicultural communities, especially the Latino community in our diocese, but also in the United States for the past 10 years, and I'm really happy and excited to be here.
Sister Anna?
Thank you. I'm Sister Anna Nguyen, also a sister of Christian Charity, and I work for the Diocese in the Office for Religious, and thank you for having me today.
Adriana?
Good morning. My name is Adriana Molina. I'm working right now in Catholic Charities in immigration as an immigration counselor with Sister Graciela. And I'm very happy to be here. So I'm from the parish of St. Augustine of Canterbury in Kendall Park, and mother of 2 Marias, and very happy to share with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yes, it's a great honor to be here talking about this topic that is so close to our hearts, and I'm sure your hearts as well. So I'll start off with the first question that I have for our guests today. The first question is, what would you say is your personal relationship with Our Lady of Guadalupe? I can say that for me, it started when I was 10 years old. Interestingly enough, I am Dominican in background, and my family never had a devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe. So they thought it was very strange when at 10 years old, they asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And I said, oh, I want a statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and I want a medal of Our Lady of Guadalupe. That's all I want for Christmas. So they thought, this is a little strange. None of us has a devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe, but it was just something that I was inspired by the story of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And as a child, I remember just, hearing that story with awe, and then learning bits and pieces about the many miracles that Our Lady of Guadalupe has performed, right, through God. And so that's been my story with Our Lady of Guadalupe ever since. And then when I entered religious life, I actually took the name Graciela for Our Lady of Alta Gracia, who's the patroness of the Dominican Republic. But I really had a devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe, even more to Our Lady of Alta Gracia. But it's the same lady, but Our Lady of Guadalupe is very special to me. Monsignor Gordon, perhaps you would like to share with us?
Thank you. Yes, I would have to say, through my priesthood, the 35 years, in different settings, I've actually seen how Our Lady of Guadalupe has been introduced. So formerly, there was the devotion that came from others. The privilege to actually locate her image in a different sanctuary, and then to begin the celebrations on an annual basis. So the devotion really grew as a personal one for me, and certainly inspired me as well. The opportunity to serve in the missions and being able to share in the culture directly the devotions to Our Lady Guadalupe and under the different images of Our Lady. And also the sense of Pope John Paul, as he expressed for the Americas that Our Lady Guadalupe would be the Empress, that really touched me to realize the unity that was expressed, through that gift of her apparition. So, that's really been my journey so far.
Allan?
So my personal relationship with Our Lady of Guadalupe, it goes back to when I was a child. I was raised in the Catholic faith. I experienced my conversion when I was 16. But I remember growing up, my grandma, she always had this image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So growing up, I remember seeing this image every time I would go to her house, and she had this devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe, and she would be always speaking about her desire to go to Mexico, to the Basilica, to visit Our Lady of Guadalupe. So I knew this wasn't a special lady. And when I had my conversion to the Catholic faith at 16, I became a Catholic missionary. And that's when I started learning about this beautiful story of Our Lady of Guadalupe and how she brings a message to everyone, the evangelization message and the gospel to everyone. So I became in love really with her. So when I got married, the first thing we did with my wife was to the next day to go to Mexico to consecrate our marriage in the Basilica to Our Lady of Guadalupe. So she's very special in my heart and in my family as well.
Beautiful. Sister Anna?
Yes, actually, I didn't know very much of her. My background is Vietnamese, and I didn't know a lot about Our Lady of Guadalupe until I came here to New Jersey. And I tease about Our Lady keep finding me, and that is true because when my first mission back here in New Jersey was 2016 at Immaculate Conception. And for Christmas, Monsignor Randy, our pastor, gave me a huge, gorgeous book on Our Lady of Guadalupe, and I couldn't stop reading it. And lo and behold, 2 years later, I came to work for the diocese. I was invited to help plan the year of renewal, or the year of awakening, rather. And it was very much around Our Lady of Guadalupe as star of the new evangelization. And having helped plan that, part of the plan were 2 pilgrimages honoring her as the center of our way to the Lord. Was the walking pilgrimage in September of 2019, and a pilgrimage to Mexico to visit her shrine, the tilma that she left for us over 200 years ago in October. And images of her kept showing up in my life. Here at home, you see it behind me. The others I had given away. There's a huge one in my office. And I have to say, ever since then, I've learned that she's the patroness of the Philippines, and she is found and honored and loved in China, many places in China, and in many parishes, Vietnamese parishes across the United States. She is also being honored and loved. So now she's very much the center of my devotion.
Thank you. Adriana?
Well, as Venezuelan, that we usually in Latin America, we always, pay homage to our Holy Mother in the different, virgins that we venerate. Like in our case, it's the Virgin of Coromoto, and in my town is La Divina Pastora. And then my family, my husband, my daughters, and I, we are consecrated to our Holy Mother from Luis Maria Griñón de Montfort consecration to our Holy Mother. And then when we came here many years ago, and then we went back to Venezuela, always the Lady of Guadalupe has been in Latin American, veneration. Everybody knows about her. And especially for me, when I have been pregnant of my daughter, so the eyes of Our Lady of Guadalupe has been always in a big frame that I have from her. And I always, pray to her for our family and for young generations. But until I came this time, 3 years ago that we came back, and many things happen in our family as immigrants. So I knew more deeply about her because my husband has to spend 3 months in Mexico for something about work. And he knew more about her because he went very close to her and knew all her story. And want us to be very close to the poorest of the poor. And Our Lady of Guadalupe, especially in our diocese, is very, very special because she's close to the immigrants, she's close to our bishop, and all in our work here in the diocese. So I'm discovering her in other sense now, how she's very close to the immigrants, how many people, go to her to pray for every single problem that they have, especially, being an immigrant here in the United States. So each time for many, many times in many ways, she's coming closer and closer to everyone in the diocese, and it's a beautiful, veneration, and to know and to be close to her is great.
It's very special, Our Lady of Guadalupe, certainly. So since we're here today to talk about Our Lady of Guadalupe and immigration, my next question to you all is how does the story of Our Lady of Guadalupe reflect how immigrants should be treated? And maybe we can go around in the same order instead of me calling on you. If you could please start in that same order. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I'd say the apparition of Our Lady of Guadalupe shows us how she was present in a location that certainly was a surprise. Her way of being on the hill of Tepeyac and then being able to call Juan Diego, who really was looking to care for his family, but in a certain sense, he was the surprise messenger. So the gift of the plan would be that we would listen to those that certainly be more than we would expect. And the immigrant brother and sister are sometimes quickly, looked at and, overlooked. And, their way of being messengers for us can help us to understand that Our Lady is close to those that she sees are on the road, those she sees who are burdened and really are looking for, the fullness of life, as Juan Diego was trying to, help his family who was in distress. Certainly, that gift of raising up, the burden that way. So I think that can help us to really have that openness and compassion and presence.
I agree with Monsignor Gordon. I think the message of Our Lady of Guadalupe and the location that she chose in Tepeyac, it sends a clear message to everyone and to the church especially about her desire to be with the vulnerable, to be with the poor, to be with the marginalized. So I think the story of Our Lady of Guadalupe is an example of how the message of Christ is for everyone. It's for everyone, not only for one group, but for everyone. So I think that's how, in my personal case, I reflect about her story and immigrants, how we need to do an extra effort to make sure that we're reaching out to everyone, that we're serving everyone as a church, and that everyone feels welcome.
Yeah, reflecting on the message of Our Lady that she asked St. Juan Diego to deliver to Bishop Juan Zumárraga was that she asked for a house to be built on the hill of Tepeyac. And perhaps Our Lady of Guadalupe's message still apply to today's situation of immigration, the topic that we are considering today, perhaps, and also having an opportunity to reflect a little bit on our Holy Father's most recent encyclical Fratelli Tutti. Our Holy Father said that our hearts expand when we step out of ourselves and embrace others, and perhaps relying on the grace of our consecration, on the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. May all newcomers find a house or a home in our hearts, our expanded hearts, at this first anniversary of our consecration, also at Christmas. Come, Lord Jesus.
I was delighted listening the sister telling the story. There is also a phrase that Our Lady of Guadalupe said to Juan Diego, that she said, I am not here who I am your mother. It's like give him confidence that, Our Lady will be always there, for everyone. And it's beautiful because she tried, the heart of Juan Diego not to be troubled. I mean, that do not be afraid is the same message of our John Paul II said too. So in our work, in our daily work, what we transmit to the immigration, to the people that we, our clients and the people that we serve, is trying to give them confidence that there is a solution for their problems, that we are here in order to try to be in their journey, in their, in their fears, in their doubts, sometimes in their pain. So we try, and I usually, commend myself before meeting a client in order that I can give them the accurate answer and the accurate help that Catholic Charities, is not only aware but try, to be that all the people that we serve, it has to be very well served in the best manner possible. So it is important and is a wonderful, initiative to discuss today about our Holy Mother in the way that we can again go back in the sense of to remember that our mission is her mission. So
yes, and I agree with everything that everyone has said. I think that Monsignor Gordon was talking about this, and Allan as well. I think the story of Our Lady of Guadalupe coming to Juan Diego, who was indigenous, right, and who in this culture at that time was, the lowest in that culture and not heard. And the difficulty that he had getting to the bishop was because he was this poor indigenous man. And the fact that Our Lady is coming to this indigenous man who is, considered really kind of he's at the peripheries, right, of that society, just gives us a message of the dignity of every human life, right? And it really talks to us very much about what our current Pope also talks about, is reaching out to the peripheries, right? And to those who are rejected or, for whatever reason are outside. And so to me, it's really a message about the dignity of every human life, the dignity of immigrants, and how we treat immigrants in terms of their dignity, in terms of their rights, in terms of how we welcome them. It's really, to me, a message of welcoming and of really creating that culture of encounter. It's a perfect example of the culture of encounter that the Pope talks about regularly. And so of really creating a society where no one is left out. And in particular, I know that in this country and in other countries, immigration is a large issue. It's a big issue. And it's really giving us the guidelines for how we should approach the issue and how we should welcome our immigrant brothers and sisters. So my next question to our guests is, why do you think our diocese's help to immigrants through Catholic Charities is important?
Well, I think the human dimension is very important. As I deal with parishioners and those that come to the church in the struggles of immigration, oftentimes I am doing what I can according to the means at my disposal. So a lot of times it's a simple letter of being a part of the parish community to help their um, filing with the lawyers that they're working with. But so often I feel there's such a large problem that needs to be addressed, and to have Catholic Charities to be able to be a reference and to be a place where they're welcome, because the mission of the church is being completed, and so I just really sense that it's so credible, that way of ministry that can really address something that's overwhelming, and it can take it so that it becomes a journey, and it becomes an accompaniment, if we call it that, overcoming the loneliness and isolation, and just being able to affirm that there's a lot of hope in everybody's life. And so I really feel that Catholic Charities as well certainly receives from these experiences. So I know that our church in the diocese really invests in Catholic Charities, and I just really thank all those that are dedicated to the ministry of Catholic Charities, that they're really renewing themselves through this outreach to the immigrant population.
I'm an immigrant myself. I moved to the United States when I was 16 with my mom and my sister. And the first place that I felt like home, it was at my parish. The first time I went to Mass in Our Lady of Fatima in Parathamboy. We went as a family to an Spanish Mass. It was something happening in our language, something that we finally understood. We were able to be ourselves, to express our spirituality and even our culture. So when it comes to how important it is for Catholic Charities to help the immigrant community, a lot of immigrants, the only place where they will seek help is the church, is the Catholic Church, because that's a place where they will feel like home, where they will feel accepted and welcome. So it's key for the church to support and to build a bridge between the immigrant community and the resources available for them, especially when it comes to immigration. So I think it is key and very important.
I don't have a legal background like Sister Graciela. We're blessed with her. However, I have worked in immigration and refugee services for a good part of my life in the past. And I have to say that it's still my prayer and my hope, and I know it's a prayer and hope of many people who are newcomer to the United States or any country around the world, for that matter, because the prayer and the hope is that Catholic Charities continue to be the pathway to help people from being displaced, alien, however the language that was called, or even more in the attitudinal area in people's hearts and mind. We look to Catholic Charities to pave that pathway, and it has done a wonderful job all these years and continue to do so for the newcomers to find a home where they can find their own language, a place to worship, their own countrymen, a place to raise their family, to make a living, a good life for themselves and for their families. and that children and young people have an opportunity for education and so much contribution that comes through the Latino communities. And I can speak to that from the Office for Religious currently. In our diocese, we have 2 communities that came from Mexico, and their mother houses are still in Mexico. And we do see a rise in vocation from the Latino community in both men and women. So for that, we are growing as church. Despite of hardship, the people refuse to give up the faith. That's beautiful, and it gives credit to the work that Catholic Charity does.
Yeah, well, listening to all of you, because I'm quite new in Catholic Charities. I have only 2 months here in immigration services, but having legal background from Venezuela and from other countries, from Spain, but in different field, not in immigration, I'm very gladly surprised and very blessed to learn, because Catholic Charities and our dioceses give so many services and guide all the immigrant population that we have in our dioceses, and help them in many ways, not only in the legal background, but also if they have some troubles in finding housing, or having psychological troubles, or even they can find here many resources that will help them to become a better person here in New Jersey, at least. So I have been in Unity Square, one of our offices that we have in the diocese, and it has been really beautiful to see everybody serving in many ways. We give food, we give some talks and conference about how they can approach legal problems. And here in our building, we have many offices that bring many services to them. So it is beautiful to see how we can serve them, and they have many sources available here that they can be using them and asking for them, and it will help them to become a better person here in New Jersey. So it's really, really amazing.
Thank you. It's as the supervisor of the program here, I'm very grateful for the support of the diocese for our work here at Catholic Charities and the immigration program. And this is something that actually the bishops put out a document many years ago with the American bishops, with the Mexican bishops, put out a document called Strangers No Longer Together on the Journey. And in that document, one of the recommendations was that the dioceses around the country support programs or sponsor programs to help immigrants, and in particular, legal programs that service immigrants, because this immigration services is very difficult. It's very expensive for immigrants. And so finding legal quality legal services is difficult sometimes for some of the immigrants that we work with, and it's very expensive, and many times there are many attorneys who take advantage of immigrants. And so coming to a place where they know that they can trust the work that we're doing, that we will help them, is important. And so I think that the fact that the diocese sponsors and supports this work is very important to the immigrant community that we see in our pews, and that we help here at Catholic Charities, and not just through the legal services program, but also through our other programs like counseling and other programs like that that we have at Catholic Charities, our food pantries, like Adriana mentioned. we have a community organization called Unity Square, where there has been, during this coronavirus pandemic, there's been a distribution of food, which has been so important to our community because, and not just at Catholic Charities, also I want to acknowledge the work of the various parishes as well with their social ministries, that this work of providing food to the needy has been so pivotal during this pandemic, because many of our undocumented brothers and sisters do not have access to any benefits, any social services. They do not have access to food stamps. They do not have access. They did not get that stimulus check that many Americans got. So the work is very, very important, because many times, I think, like Allan was mentioning, the Catholic Church, Catholic Charities, our social services, our social concerns programs are really their only source of recourse, particularly when they're undocumented and they don't have access to other programs. So my next question to our panelists is, how can we carry this message of Our Lady of Guadalupe further to help our immigrants, brothers and sisters? What are the areas and needs that you see? How can we continue this work in helping our immigrant brothers and sisters?
I think as a pastor, I would really see the consecration of our diocese and then to renew that as we have our first anniversary, of course, to try and bring that to my brother priests and try and see how maybe in more parishes there can be that recognition of who she is as our patroness, and then see how it kind of inspires us to really reach out to the marginalized and to those who represent, our brothers and sisters who, are coming to us in the immigration situations. And I think also as we would come closer to the 500th anniversary of her apparition, that offers us, a sense of celebration. Certainly that would be worldwide, but as a diocese, maybe we can have that intentionality of wanting to really focus on our Christian witness. And so the immigration, being able to really address that in a wider way and in a more comprehensive way through parish life. And I think just that a sense of, as you said, Sister, the other groups that are a part of the charity outreach, that they would also be able to make a sense of devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe. Certainly, St. Vincent de Paul has, St. Vincent as their, patron, but trying to see how Our Lady is kind of overseeing all of the ways, as well as the various groups that are in the parish life there for the needs and the works of mercy. So I just see that taking shape on the parish level.
I also think awareness is important. Awareness for people to know the Catholic view on immigration and Our Lady's message. San Juan Diego, he has a story. He's not just a number or a statistic. And it is Pope Francis that he always says, immigrants, when we're speaking about immigrants, where we're speaking about refugees, it is very important for us to recognize that they're not only statistics, that they're not only a story on the news, that they are people, that they have a face, that they have dreams, that they have challenges, that these are people. So I think it is very important for us to be aware of that when we're speaking about immigration, we're really speaking about our brothers and sisters, that we're speaking about real people with challenges, with difficulties, with dreams, and with a faith, and that we need to learn new ways to see Christ in them so that we can better serve them, so that we can love them in the same way that Christ and the Virgin Mary loves them.
Our diocese is blessed with a very vibrant group of religious whose life and work and prayer and forward thinking are weaved into the fabric of the life of our diocese. and occasions such as this, the renewal, consecration, renewal, our devotion to Our Lady, conversation just such as this that makes it very alive, will support the our work, and then our work supports the message to further our service and to the immigrants. And I also would like to recognize the comment that Allan just made, is that I do believe that behind every number there's a person, and with every person there's a family, and maybe extended family, if I understand the community of Latinos correctly. Very much like Asians, we are just like that. And I myself is a refugee, so at some point in the past, I have gone through this route along with the newcomers today. So back to speaking about how to carry on the message about Lady of Guadalupe in terms of assisting the immigrants, perhaps to continue to be energetic, allow ourselves to be inspired by the event, and work with our diocese in all aspects of our evangelization to everyone, especially the newcomers.
I was reading the question and then thinking, and one of the message when I came to the office, Sister Graciela put in our walls, that a message that says, we are a nation of immigrants. And that's true. I think that especially United States, around the world, so you can see in everywhere people from everywhere. We have been, this is a nation of immigrants since, the Constitution. And the service that how we carry her message is like the great peace. I mean, Our Lady of Guadalupe is, she represents all the immigrants from the Americas. And her message is like Sister said, is our work. We will reflect her message in our work. So that little tiny, drop of water that we do in the ocean, so that amount of work that we do, it will be a better, moment and a very type of life for, the immigrants here in United States. And we can carry her message, living it. So living each day in our family, in our community, in our, office. And if it is possible, sometimes we can spread the message to the immigrants that we serve. So I think she will guide us, and she's guiding us since last year that we consecrate our dioceses in this mission. So we continue missioning, and she continued mission us each day. So
she definitely continues to lead us. I think that in our diocese being consecrated to Our Lady of Guadalupe, and then this year commemorating the 1-year anniversary of the consecration, I think it provides for an opportunity to again reflect on that message and how we are doing in terms of welcoming and what else we could do, how we can expand further our welcome, how we can educate further. I think one of the big needs in our communities is education in terms of welcoming the immigrant and what the Catholic Church teaches about immigration. And this is a message that goes back several popes. It's not something that's new. The issue is very kind of big right now around the world, but but it's not a new message that the Catholic Church is putting out about welcoming the immigrants and encountering those at the peripheries. And so, but there are, I would encourage people to go and read Strangers No Longer, read Fratelli Tutti, the new encyclical that Sister Anna mentioned, because in that encyclical, the Pope does touch on this message of what immigrants contribute to our society and this culture of encounter, and not leaving anyone at the peripheries. And so in terms of what we can do, I think is encouraged and enlightened by this, our consecration to Our Lady of Guadalupe, is to continue spreading her message, the message of the human dignity of every life, and of creating a culture of encounter. Because remember, this moment where Our Lady came to Mexico was really a moment of encounter between two parts of the world, in a way, right? Between the European culture and the indigenous culture. And after the appearances of Our Lady to Juan Diego, the entire Mexican country converted to Catholicism. And so it is a message of continuing to reach out to those who are different than us, and it's and to immigrants in particular, and not just, obviously we've mentioned a lot Latino immigrants, but it's all immigrants, refugees, like Sister Anna mentioned. In my parish at St. Cecilia's in Island, we have a big Filipino population, a big Indian population, and so it's a melting pot, really. And that's melting pot idea is part of the beauty also of this country. And so continuing to work for that, being, like I said, enlightened by the message of Our Lady of Guadalupe is I think what we need to reflect on. Just my humble opinion. So I want to ask if anyone has any other comments that they would like to make today.
I'd just say in closing that our bishop has written the pastoral letters and also the messages for our dedication, our consecration. So I think they are very timely in a sense of speaking in that trust that's there, and trying to, make ourselves informed, and to read those things which are online through our diocesan website. So I think that would certainly help us as well to renew ourselves on the first anniversary. But again, I thank you for inviting me to be part of the panel today. I basically, I carry around a lot of keys. I keep my schedule in the parish and try to run over to school as much as possible. But, being on this level with you, just sharing, I really feel affirmed, in the sense of what is going on in the parish life, but also I feel humble in the sense of, recognizing all of the levels of the diocese and all the competency. So again, God bless you, and thank you for inviting me.
Same here, sister. I think it is, I'm amazed to see how Our Lady is acting in the various ministries in the Diocese of Metuchen, in the various offices. You can see when everyone was speaking, how she's involved. She's working full time, right? So I think that is something beautiful, that through the consecration, I believe our diocese is receiving multiple graces. And something that I will add to that as well is the immigrant community also bring graces. It's not only what they can take, but more than that is what they bring. They bring their talents, they bring their gifts, their spirituality to the church. So we become a more rich church. And that's something that we need to recognize as well.
I too am so grateful to be a part of this conversation, and it brings memory back to when I was in Guadalupe, the city of Mexico City, praying at the shrine and allowing my eyes to kind of scan the shrine. And present there were people from all around the world. And it just reminds me of, it must be a favorite thing of Our Lady of Guadalupe to do as a mother. She loves to gather her children from all around the world in one place, in one home, in our hearts, in her heart, to be for her son Jesus, and that inspires me. And thank you for the opportunity to share that and all of what has been shared today.
Yes, I think go ahead, Adriana, sorry.
Thank you to all of you for opening your wisdom and your heart and your humble opinions about Our Lady of Guadalupe. And as all of you said, she's in charge. She's the Mother of God and our mother, and she's always interceding for us and for all the immigrants. I'm an immigrant too, so and she's guiding our dioceses and guiding us in our work and in our life too. So thank you.
Yes, and I just want to say how encouraged I am, by these conversations. And I just want to mention, how our diocese has taken in this consecration and this message of Our Lady of Guadalupe, even from before the consecration. Many times I've had the experience of parish priests who are sometimes the first people that our immigrants encounter, and then the priests reaching out to us, trying to see how we can help their parishioner, and following up and seeing what can be done. And so that also is very, very important and encouraging, because sometimes they are the link. They're able to link that parishioner who needs help with Catholic Charities and with other services. So and that's something that perhaps does not get mentioned too much, but that is something that is happening all the time across our parishes in the diocese. And our priests are doing just a marvelous job of really connecting our immigrant brothers and sisters with the services that they need and other help. And I think, like Allan said, also mentioning how our immigrants, brothers and sisters, enrich our parishes, because many times they're the ones that are leading ministries in the parishes and groups and bringing in new traditions. And I think this message of this consecration and this message of Our Lady of Guadalupe also encourages us to accept those new traditions, be open to those new traditions that our brothers and sisters are bringing in. Certainly, I'm not Mexican, but I remember the first time that I went to a celebration for Our Lady of Guadalupe and listening to the mariachi and seeing all the little kids dressed up as like little Juan Diegos and the typical Mexican costumes, and the people dressed in indigenous garb and playing I don't know if I'm saying it right, the seashells and things like that. It's just beautiful. And so being open to what our immigrant brothers and sisters have to contribute is also, I think, part of this message and part of this consecration, which I think is bringing us together in the diocese more, the different cultures. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for participating in this conversation, this roundtable. It has been wonderful to hear some of your insights and really to commemorate this 1 year anniversary of the consecration. And I want to thank the diocese too for inviting Catholic Charities to be part of this commemoration of the 1 year anniversary and renewal and of the consecration. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Cesar, and thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.